So thank you all for coming out to the first official fundraiser for Alicia Purdy, the People's Mayor in Albany, New York. I'm very excited at tonight's turnout. So if you would take a moment, no pressure, if you want to pull up your phone and go on Facebook Live, that would be a lovely thing. I'm not going to speak for very long. I have been largely blacked out by the local media, as you may or may not be aware. They do say my name at times, but twice this week they've ghosted me, where they've set me up for an appointment, I put on my heels and makeup, and they never show up. So it does happen. So if you would be the People's Press today, that would be great. There's my official favor. So the Democrat primary in Albany was yesterday. And I'm happy to report that the turnout was abysmal. 1/3 of Democrats that are entrenched in the city of Albany voted against our incumbent mayor. And very few of them even bothered to show up. Out of somewhere in the neighborhood of 60,000-ish registered Democrats, Kathy Sheehan pulled in, I think, not perfectly official, 4,000 or fewer votes in the city of Albany. She was concerned that maybe Democrats didn't realize that it was a June primary. Maybe they couldn't access the internet. I'm not sure. But anyway, her support is at an all-time low, and that's a really good thing. It's a great time to be running as the People's Mayor in the city of Albany, because this race just got real. The race just got very real as of last night. And it was real to me already, but I think people are now starting to see, with maybe a sinking feeling, that there is a really viable candidate and a very runnable race now, and it is no longer taken for granted that there is an assured win for another 4 years of single-party rule in the city of Albany. So, just a couple words that I would like to say. And I stand out here and I was kind of envisioning what I would see when I looked out and gave this speech. And I am very honored and very humbled that you guys are all here to support my campaign for mayor, but I'm also very, very excited. Not for myself, but for the city of Albany, because we have all been waiting for something to give in the city of Albany. And I'm excited that this is more than a political campaign or a maneuver. So most of you here I have personally spoken to, whether it's at your home or your business, maybe I came to your door. And I'm so happy if I came to your door and never saw you again and you came. I think that's amazing. I'm really glad that you're here. I've listened, I've heard what we're all experiencing, which is really similar in the city of Albany. I've heard stories of how it used to be, and I've heard stories of how it is now, what the city has done to families, what the city has done to businesses, what the city has done to people who own land, what the city has done to people's money, what the city has done to nonprofits and hopes and dreams that people have had for themselves. And we are all aware of the conditions in the city of Albany. Do you know that every person in this room that I have spoken to has one thing in common? And that is every single person I've spoken to has expressed to me a hopelessness that anything can ever change. 100% of people in this room at some point or another. So I want to point something out to you tonight and tell you that as I look out at each person here and I see you standing at a fundraiser for a Republican conservative candidate running uphill in the city of Albany, your presence here tonight is proof that hope is not lost. In fact, there's more than hope. There's a viable, very real chance that we will flip in November. Because I am not the crack in the dam. That's you. You are the crack in the dam. And not everybody wanted, to come out tonight. Some people didn't want to be on camera. Some people didn't want to be seen. That happens a lot in the city of Albany, and I have no quarrel with that. I understand. But I do want to say this. 245 years ago, a group of good people had enough. And they made a unanimous declaration and deemed it necessary for one people to come together and dissolve the political bands that had connected them to another. And they decided to assume the powers of the earth, declaring that government would derive their powers from the consent of the governed. And it was not just their right, they considered it to be their sacred duty to overthrow the government that kept them in chains. 245 years ago, a group of good people who had everything to lose, like many in this room, declared that they mutually pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to the cause of setting themselves free. So that's why I'm standing here today. I, like you, have had enough. So I stand before another group of very good people who are done with the abuses and the personal opulence that we've seen in the single-party rule in the city of Albany, and I'm campaigning as the people's mayor because my vision is to transform Albany through the power of the people for the people. This is the difference. Kathy Sheehan wants to restart Albany. Have you heard about her Restart Albany plan? She just recently came into a free $80 million. She'd like to restart Albany. So here's what we want to do. She wants to put a new spark plug in the jalopy and restart Albany. She wants to put some duct tape on the hose and restart Albany. She wants to top off the fluids and pull a couple fuses and restart Albany. So I personally have had enough of the jalopy of 100 years of single-party rule in Albany, and we're going to get a new car. We're going to transform the city of Albany, and I have a plan called Operation Transform. I'm not unfolding it tonight for one very specific reason. She has a lot to lose, and I'm told she's a co-author of amazing ideas. So tonight is not the night where I will unfold Operation Transform, but you will receive information, maybe in this newsletter that you hopefully signed up for. She can't have Transform Albany, that's mine. So we're going to unfold that, and we're going to move ahead with something that the city of Albany has not seen. And not because I'm so special, it's because I think differently about people than anyone else has for the past 100 years. Kathy Sheehan sees people as the problem. Alicia Purdy, the people's mayor, sees people as the solution. That's what transforms the city. That's what guides spending. That's what helps us address crime, holding people accountable for their actions. People are the solution to the problems with people. You cannot bury problems with money. You have to address the people. And so when I'm out and about in Albany, and this is such a small microcosm of the people that I interact with, 100% of people have expressed to me a hopelessness that this could ever change. And I have not absorbed any of it. I completely disagree, actually. And I was so excited last night when my personal prediction came true, that Kathy Sheehan would be an extremely low performer in the Democratic primary, and she would be embarrassed by how close her non-competition came to her. And it would be very telling that not only, it's not that people are apathetic, people don't like her. There's a big difference. The entrenched Democrats came out to vote, and a third of them voted against her. So this is important. How am I going to do all of these things that I want to do? And we've talked about it, doors and businesses and over coffee in the city of Albany. I'm not. You are. That's what a mayor is here to do. Support people. Facilitate people. Come alongside people who want to change the city of Albany. So, I mean, I could give you everything. We already are aware. Blight, crime, the broken windows, the ATVs. We are all aware of these, so I won't sit here and list them for you. But I will say this. We are the capital city of what I believe to be the greatest state in the United States of America. That's my personal opinion. I love the state of New York. And I would love to see Albany, New York become the greatest small city in America. Wall Street is in our state, and they come through here. The lawmakers in our state, they come through here. We are an untapped world power if you think about it, but it has been abused and misused. So, can a conservative Republican win as mayor in the city of Albany?
Yes. Yes.
Of course. But you are standing here as proof that she can. I am not the proof, you are. And that's what I want to say, that now, more than ever, this is winnable. So have you had enough?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I won't ask this, I'll say this. Kathy Sheehan, I want to be very clear about something. Kathy Sheehan is not Goliath, and I'm not David. I do hear that analogy a lot. Kathy Sheehan is not Goliath. The Democrat Sheehan is not Goliath. The giant in this city is the despair of its people. And that is what we have to convert. We don't need to convert Democrats into being Republicans. We need to convert despair into hope and then into action. That's the plan to win Albany. And yes, that takes money. It takes TV commercials and campaigns and volunteers and lawn signs and literature. It takes all of that. And there are ways to help. So maybe you're well connected and you put me in touch with people. Maybe we get interviews with people and you use influence to make sure that I get in front of people who need to hear the plan to transform Albany. There are miserable, sad, hopeless, fearful people in this city who have succumbed to the notion that it can never change, and we who have hope must reach them. So what I'm asking for tonight is help in the battle. I need every form of skilled soldier in order to fight this battle, because it will not be won alone, alongside me, with me, for me. I'm going to leave you with a little story from the Bible. Oh, I'm a Christian, by the way. You might have read it in the press 10 times. So I'm going to get a little biblical with you. There's a story. This is actually a historical account, not just a biblical account. It's in the book of Nehemiah. And in the book of Nehemiah, the city of Jerusalem had been sacked by the Babylonian Empire. Secular history also records. They had taken it down to complete rubble. And a nobody out of nowhere, named Nehemiah, who was the cupbearer of the Persian king Artaxerxes I, felt impressed in his heart it was time to build up from the rubble. History records that as Nehemiah began and the volunteers with him built the city of Jerusalem from nothing, each person building up the gates and the towers and making repairs, laying beams, and working within their own neighborhoods. It's funny how history repeats itself. The enemies of the work grew up so hard against them and so swiftly to stop their work and attack the builders that those who were building the wall, history records, had to build with one weapon in their hand, and with the other hand they had to build. Now that to me sounds like a prophecy of what's going to happen here in the city of Albany, because we all have a weapon in our hand. And we all have a different one. Maybe it's a sword, a spear, or a bow. Maybe you have a business. Maybe you've got money, maybe you've got connections. Maybe you have influence in a certain area. Maybe people listen to your voice and you host a meet and greet, whatever that is. And everyone in this room has been amazing to do those things. Those are weapons in the fight. And everyone's weapon matters. So what happened in the book of Nehemiah was they finished building the wall with each person holding their weapon in their hand to protect and to defend. And so what we're facing in Albany is not new. It's not impossible, but it will require two things from all who join this fight: a commitment to the work and a willingness to fight for it. And that's what I'm here to ask you, is that money is not always the solution. I believe that people are, and that's why I'm here. So I'm going to leave you with these words of Nehemiah. He began to build and people grew afraid because the enemies of the work came against them so hard. And he stood up and rallied the builders by saying this: stop being terrified because of them. Remember instead that the Lord is great and awesome, so fight. Fight for each other. Fight for your sons. Fight for your daughters. Fight for your wives. Fight for your husbands. And fight for our home. My name is Alicia Purdy. I'm running for mayor in the city of Albany, and I am not afraid to win. I'm not afraid to lose. I am going to win. That is the plan. So I'm asking you to get your weapon in your hands, whatever that weapon might be, and come and join me in the fight. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I so appreciate that you're here.